put something up here. This one. Let me see if two will fit. Okay. Wait one second. That's good. Okay.
You can go.
Good morning. My name is Bill Magee, and this is the first video for a new club that we're initiating. This is the Tacoma Bonsai Club, and our first topic is Japanese black pines. We've picked up some seedlings from last year, and some of the members have specimens, and we've reached the point where it's time to do our first operation on them, and that's what we're going to talk about this morning. I'd like to review very briefly about how we've gotten to where we are at this point. Our seedlings came in a small nursery cone pot with nursery soil, and so the first thing that we did, of course, was to repot them into good bonsai soil, and we're putting them in training pots for the development stage, of course, to give the roots extra room because we want fast growth and quick development. Later on, we'll be putting them into true bonsai pots. So at this point, we've got our little seedlings, which are just a little bit over a year old, and I would like to compare the difference between the good bonsai soil and the nursery soil. You can see on this tree that's 3 years old, the pale color and the very weak growth of the new growth for this year. This tree is not doing well. Its health is going downhill. That's because it hasn't been repotted into good soil. The nursery soil is good for nursery purposes, but it's mostly organic and it stays too moist. There's not enough oxygen in the soil. Now you can see by comparison, the first thing we wanted to do was get our plants established and healthy, and you can see the difference in color, the fullness of the needles. Just by looking at them, you can see that this is a much healthier tree at this point. Okay. So now that we have them established and growing, getting a healthy tree, this is April, second year, so we're ready to look at our first operation on them. While we've got them here to compare, if we let them grow like they are, they will develop this kind of character. Long internodal spaces, kind of thin growth, not very many buds. That's not what we want. This doesn't give us good choices for bonsai. So we're going to take the first step of many to try to get back budding on the tree. And what we have is candles that have grown this spring. The candle is the new growth, and here's a good example of what the candles look like when they're younger, and this is after they've been growing for a while. Okay. Now these are young trees, and so they've got some immature needles on them. The Japanese black pine is a 2-needle pine, but if you look closely at these, you'll see these are single needles. The reason for that is because it's immature foliage. Many conifers have an immature and a mature foliage. The black pine is one that can grow single needles when they're young, but actually it's a 2-needle pine. The new needles that are coming out have a sheath around them, and they're each in bundles of 2. So Carrie, if you want to step in here, I'll show you some details about it, okay? All right, so here's the old growth at this point. So this is where our new candle, these are full candles, this is where the new candle starts, right here. Okay? If you look up here, you see bundles of needles coming out. Okay? See how they stop right here and we've only got these single needles? All right, this is called the neck. This is the candle extending, and it will continue to grow if we let it because of the auxin in the tip. controlling growth, and what the black pine wants to do is get as tall as it can, so it's just going to extend and extend if we let it. Now, we can get back budding anywhere where there are needles. Most candles, when the tree gets a little older, will be like these, no needles on the neck. So if we let that neck grow, it'll get very long and there'll be no needles, so we can't get the bud. So we kind of want to prevent long extension and a long neck. So at this point right here, this is a little hard to see because it's a young tree and it has these single needles on it, but here's the neck right here, okay? That's as long as we want it, no longer. So we're going to stop the growth right now. We're stopping the extension, not the growth. It will continue to grow. But what we're going to do is pinch the candle. And we can pinch it anywhere in this area here, but we want to keep at least like 6 to 12 needles, bundles of needles.
So, double bundles?
Yes. We start here, anywhere from here up, okay? So you'll have to decide on your tree whether you want it to be this long at this point or this long, where you want to shorten it to. On this one, I'm going to bring it back pretty far, right down here to where there's about 8, 10 bundles of needles. Now, normally we would do this a little earlier when the tissue is a little softer, and the best way to do it is by pinching. This one's a little older, so it's going to be a little harder to pinch. That's the stem. Yeah. So now we've got the neck. It's going to stop growing at this point because we removed the oxen. We've got a little bit of the candle, and that's where we stop the growth. There will be another step a little later on, and it'll produce back buds from these needles. It can bud anywhere where there's a needle. Right now, what we've done is we've sort of sent the energy back down the tree, and we're inducing it to send the new buds out right at the base here. Essentially, what's going to be, right here, what's going to be the node.
How long will it take with that process?
It'll start right now. The fact that we've done this now, it'll begin, but it'll take it 6 weeks to 3 months for us to actually start seeing results. But at that point, then we'll take another step, which I'll explain at that point. Okay. So if you want your tree to be long for like a literati style, then you may want to hold off on this, or you may want to pinch it, right near the top. But if you want to get back budding, which is probably what we want, because we want to get the trunk thickened up, so the more back buds we have, the better we'll be able to do that. Then you may want to pinch it a little further down. But for now, don't pinch it beyond the needles. Keep at least like 6, 8, 10 bundles of needles.
And would the speed of the growth still be the same?
It'll
slow down any?
Well, it's going to stop growing up. We've terminated the extension of the shoot here by doing this. But the tree will continue. It's going to continue producing, growth. But it's going to redirect that growth into trying to find a place where it wants to send up a new leaf, a new apex, and that's going to start at the node. Later on, we'll push it back even farther so we can get buds from wherever there's a needle, at what we call adventitious buds. The buds at the node are stronger. The adventitious buds back at the needles are weaker. So it's going to do this first. And we don't want those all in one place. They tend to grow out all in one spot where the node is. And we get bar branches and clusters of candles, which is not what we want. So a little further along, we'll take another step to get our buds to spread out. Okay? Bring your tree up here and do it. There is another way to do it if you want. You can take scissors and work your way in between the needles. Be careful not to cut the needles. Trial and error, and traditionally experienced bonsai people have decided the best way to do it is by pinching. But it's okay to do it with the scissors. The problem is you get sap on the scissors and you have to clean it. As long as you're careful not to cut the needles doesn't make a whole lot of difference to the tree, but pinching is the traditional way to do it.
So it breaks off right
Those are single needles all the way up to here. Here's where your needles start. This is the neck. Now on these young trees, we've got single needles, and an immature tree can send buds out where there's only one needle. But later on, your tree is going to produce necks like this with no needles. It cannot bud where there's no needles. So if you let that grow, it'll extend and you'll have a long internode where you can't get a branch. But here you can.
here. Right, so.
But you still want to leave needles for this.
So maybe about, right about here.
Okay? That would be, yeah. Good spot. Just a hot, you've only got a, yeah, if you pinch there, you've only got a couple needle bundles. Go a tad higher, yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Would you like to do the other one?
Yep. That
So-
was quick.
Yeah, it's a very easy step.
Now, this is where they're doubling up at, about right here. This
Yeah.
would be the candle, right? From right
Yeah,
here,
you
they're
got,
doubling.
well, this is part of the candle here, but it's called the neck.
Right.
But your needles start about there. Yeah, that's where about, right about where you had your finger.
All right. So I can go up a little bit?
Yep.
All right, about right here.
Looks good. Let's switch trees. I'd like to point out one more thing here.